Welcome to VLearn, Virtual Learning Network. This is session number 25 of the subject India Earliest Times to the 8th Century AD, and the chapter is Development in Religion. Topics to be covered are Introduction, Buddhism, Jainism, Brahmanism, Saivism and Vaishnavism. Introduction. The political situation of the post-Maurya period, that is, the rise of the Sanghas, the Satavahanas, and the appearance of such ruling powers as those of the Indo-Greeks. Sakka Parthians and the Kushanas in the northwest influenced to an extent the course of religion during this period. For example, after the patronage which Buddhism received from Ashoka, there was royal support to Brahmanism under the Sanghas. Similarly, the liberal social attitude of Buddhism made the absorption of foreigners into Indian society comparatively easy, thus leading to social assimilation. So, the liberal attitude of Buddhism that led to the absorption of many foreigners into Indian society, and that also led to social assimilation and social changes, and a lot of other people also getting mixed or getting amalgamated into the Indian society. Buddhism. The growth of Buddhism had suffered a minor setback during the Sangha Kanva period. This was because both the Sanghas and the Kanvas who succeeded the Mauryas in Magad professed Brahmanical faith. The Buddhist work Divya Vadana accuses Pushyamitra Sangha as a veritable enemy of Buddhism. It is said that he attempted to destroy the Kukut Aram monastery at Patliputra. According to this source, he also fixed a price of 100 dinaras for the head of every monk. Expansion and patronage. We notice expansion of Buddhism in all parts of India during the period 200 BC to 300 AD. Buddhism gained a strong foothold in the northwestern India. Many of the foreigners like the Indo-Greeks and the Kushanas who invaded India during this time accepted Buddhism. So there was an expansion of Buddhism in all parts of India during the particular time period, and Buddhism gained also, it became famous for its ideologies, for its liberal approach towards the individuals and towards the people, and that is why it gained a strong foothold in the northwestern India. Many of the foreigners like the Indo-Greeks and the Kushanas invaded India during this time, and they also accepted Buddhism. Among the Indo-Greek kings, it was Menandar who figures prominently as the ruler who was drawn towards the doctrines of Buddhism. He accepted Buddhism. He accepted the philosophy, the doctrines of Buddhism, which was very easy to follow, and that was it believed in peace as well as in non-violence. Rise of Mahayana Buddhism. The growth of Mahayana Buddhism contributed to the further development of Buddhism as a popular faith all over India and beyond frontiers. So, the growth of Mahayana Buddhism that contributed to the further development of Buddhism. The religious emotions of a number of people with different origins and cultural affiliations gradually transformed Buddha into a god. So, the religious emotions, the faith of the people from different origins, from different countries, from different cultural affiliations, that also gradually transformed Buddha into a god. So they started revering Buddha, and that it gradually transformed into a god. In the early centuries of the Christian era, the installation and worship of Buddha images came into vogue. So this paved the way for the advent of Mahayana Buddhism. So this started also the installation as well as the worship of Buddha images that also came into vogue, and this paved the way for the advent of Mahayana Buddhism. Sects. With the spread of Buddhism to different parts of the country, many sects appeared. For example, the Theravadins had their center of activity at Kausambi. Mathura was a center for the Sarvastivadins, and the Bhadrayanika sect flourished at Nasik and Kanheri. The origin of these sects may not have been originally due to differences in the doctrines. In fact, what contributed to their origin and growth were factors related to geographical diversities of the country. So the spread of Buddhism also, it spread to different parts of the country, and with the spread of Buddhism, many sects, many doctrines also appeared. And for example, the Theravadins as well as the Sarvastivadins, and the origin of these sects may not have been originally due to differences in the doctrines, but in fact, what contributed to their origin and growth were factors related to geographical diversities. The geographical diversities of the country also led to their origin as well as growth. Centers. The early religious and pilgrimage centers remained as popular centers even in this period. Ab Barhut, Bodh Gaya, and Sanchi continued to be celebrated places of pilgrimage during the Sangha period and later. Purushpura was a great center of Buddhist culture under the Kushans. Mathura was a major center of Buddhism and, like Gandhara, produced its own school of art. So Mathura also was a major center of Buddhism, and like Gandhara also, it also produced its own school of art and architecture. Jainism. It did not spread as fast as Buddhism. Further, royal patronage to Jainism was not as extensive as it was in the case of Buddhism. In spite of these difficulties, the monks were active and organized missions to spread Jainism. By the early centuries of the Christian era, it had consolidated its position in India. But Jainism, unlike Buddhism, did not attempt to spread its doctrines outside India. So Jainism did not attempt to spread its doctrines outside India. Spread and patronage. Generous patronage was extended to Jainism by some kings, and the name of Kharavela, the ruler of Kalinga, stands foremost in this regard. Not only he and his queen practiced Jainism, but they dedicated some caves for the use of the Jain monks in the Udaygiri hills. In the Kushana period, Jainism was popular in Mathura. The Mathura school of art produced many images of the Tirthankaras and other objects of worship for the Jains. So the Jains for the Mathura school of art produced many images and other objects of worship for the Jains. Sects. The Svetambar and Digambar sects were known from as early as the 2nd century BC. Those who discarded all garments and went about naked were called Digambars, and those who wore a white garment were named Svetambars. There is very little doctrinal differences between these two sects. This continued in this period also. The Yapaniya developed as another Jain sect around the 1st century AD. It was probably founded by Kalasa, a monk of Svetambar, a sect at Kalyanagara. Centers. Among the many Jain centers, Rajagriha or Rajgir developed into an important center during the 1st and 2nd centuries AD. Vajra Muni of the Svetambar sect was associated with this place. Mathura was another important center. From the sculptures found in Mathura and from the dedicated inscriptions on them, it is evident that the merchant class patronized Jainism here on a significant scale. So from the sculptures which were found in Mathura and from the dedicated inscriptions on them also, it was evident that the merchant class patronized, they believed in Jainism on a large scale or on a significant scale. Brahmanism. New developments. Brahmanism too acquired many new features during this period, and we see the gradual crystallization of what may be called Puranic Hinduism. The central feature of this was worship of gods and goddesses and not performance of sacrifices. For example, the idea of a supreme deity gained strength, and this deity was either Vishnu or Shiva. This sharply divided the religious pantheon into two groups, and that led to the development of Saivism and Vaishnavism. Other deities. A variety of deities were also worshipped. Among them, Brahma, Agni, Surya and Indra were some of the popular ones. The 4 guardian deities, namely Yam, Varun, Kuber and Vasa, were also worshipped. Besides these, animals like elephant, horse and cow were worshipped. The Naga or serpent worship was popular in almost all parts of the country, and many trees and tree spirits were also worshipped. Saivism. The origin of Saivism can be traced back to the pre-Vedic times, and by the early centuries of the Christian era, it was a popular sect in almost all parts of India. Saiva was the principal deity of this sect and was worshipped in the Linga form. This form of worship seems to have been popular from the beginning of the Christian era. Shiva was also worshipped in his human form, the descriptions of which are also found in some literary texts. Saivism also received some royal support during this period. Among the Kushana kings, Vema Cadphises was an ardent devotee of Shiva. So Shiva was also worshipped in his human form, and the descriptions that are also found in the literary texts. And Saivism also received a lot of royal support during this period. Vaishnavism. It was another important sect of Brahmanism, followed by a large group of people in all parts of India. The principal deity of this sect was Vishnu, who is referred to as the protector in the Brahmanical religion. So Vishnu was the protector in the Brahmanical religion. The cult of Vishnu in the early period was known by the name Bhagavatism, which was developed from the Vedic cult Vasudev Krishna. Bhagavatism owed its origin to the Upanishads. It arose around the Mathura region. It stressed upon the idea of a supreme god called Hari, and sacrifices and other rituals were regarded as minor importance. So, Bhagavatism owed its origin to Upanishads, and it stressed upon that God is supreme, and the supreme god is called Hari, and sacrifices, other rituals, are not of as much importance as of God. So that was all about the different religions, how they developed: Vaishnavism, Saivism, Brahmanism, Buddhism, Jainism, all the development of different religions. So that was all about that. And these are some of the questions. You have to do it yourself. Question number 1, explain the basic aspects of Mahayanism. And question number 2, write about 5 lines on the new developments in Brahmanism during this period. That's all. Thank you. Happy learning. We learning.